Hey, what's up, everybody? This is VR Gamer Dude, or as you know me, Don, and we are here with VRSpies Exposed, episode 38. Got my good friend Chris, UKRifter, hanging out with me today, and a couple of new
Hi.
friends. Got Deck and Ulrich from Digital Cybercherries, the team that has brought you an awesome homage to my past, New Retro Arcade Beyond. So, how's
Hello.
everybody doing tonight?
Welcome, guys.
Hi.
Welcome.
Good, thank you.
Right
Hello.
on.
Hello, thank you.
Well, guys, I got to tell you, I mean, I know we've been chatting back and forth all week with Joe, community manager over there. How did you guys nail my childhood? I mean, it's like stepping back into Aladdin's castle when I was like 15. It's amazing.
Did they even have the scary uncle that used to touch you inappropriately, John?
Well, no,
Sorry,
no,
sorry,
no.
sorry.
This
This
is
is
like
bad.
TMI, man. It just that's only for the team. So, but
I can take this one. So weirdly, as someone not born in the 80s, it was obviously a challenge.
Right, Deck, now you've said that, you now have to tell us when you were born.
I have
This
no
is-
credibility now when it comes to any 80s references. I see how it is.
Oh, dear. We
No,
feel
but-
old again, Don. We feel old.
yeah,
No, it's, I mean, we got it right just through effort and basically, I'll explain how it started. We basically we left a previous studio that we worked at, and this is back when VR was first taking off, and I managed to score a DK1 back in the day. Tried it out and was like, right, yep, this is it. Right, gotta go, guys. Right, fuck all the development. Like, this is what I want to do now. Just this is like, I mean, I'm sat in my room with a big block on my face that has nothing but like low res, like what is it, like 640p, like the with only rotational and massive frame loss and horrible stuff. And even then, I'm like just absolutely floored by it. You know, bring all my friends to try it and stuff. And I was like, I just have to make something for this. Yeah, we just yeah, and well, at first it started off as I just wanted to make a visual arcade, like so I mean I'll be honest, my real tie-in to this and all things 80s is pretty much the music genre that's kind of seems to be gaining a bit of traction at the moment, called new retro wave.
Okay.
Obviously, you can kind of see where it ties in. We called it new retro arcade.
yeah.
And Dex, sorry, Dex, to interrupt. You also have to mention your dad, maybe.
Oh, yeah, come to that one. My dad's also real big into arcades. He works at arcades, got a decent collection of his own and stuff, and so I grew up around decent games all my life. So that definitely did add to it. But at first it was just like I just like the music genre and stuff like that, and then me and my friend Robert, who's the like main primary artist behind New Retro Arcade, we were just messing about one day, and we were learning Unreal Engine 4, and yeah, just one thing led to another on a gorgeous night, quite like tonight, and now we just sat down and just went, you know what, this would be amazing if we had a virtual reality arcade in here, and it just honestly just spiraled out of control, and yeah.
Well, I mean, I tell you, and it was amazing. I mean, the first time I downloaded that and played it back in my DK2, like I said, it was literally like such a burst of nostalgia for somebody who actually did grow up in the 80s and spent so many hours in a local arcade and wasted so many quarters. I mean, so I mean, to see it expand the way that it has, that's great. Now, I remember when you guys first brought out New Retro Arcade, you were billing it as just a proof of concept back then. And a lot of people were asking, are you going to take this forward? And I kind of remember posts like, no, it's just a proof of concept. So what prompted you guys to actually push it forward and bring it out as a full paid experience on Steam?
It was mostly just exactly that, the comments. It was a learning experience. It was a mess around based on our love for the music and 80s stuff, and then we were like, obviously VR, everything got mashed together, and then it was right, we want to make an arcade environment. It was just meant to be like, you load it up, like, oh, this looks, this bring back some nostalgia for for people, and then
for old guys like me.
yeah. And then that's what I was going to mention it. I thought it'd be a cool thing. My dad would enjoy it and stuff, and just. So I thought, yeah, this would be something cool. But again, it was never meant to be anything more than just like a learning experience for UE4. We come from a source engine background and custom engines and stuff like that, so we never worked with UE4. So that's why we just wanted to make a cool tie-in, all the things. My love for my retro music, my love for actual arcades and classic gaming. I'm sorry, and VR, and then obviously learning Unreal Engine. So we put together this simple little environment, and then it just took off. People were like, "This is amazing." And then but again, it started off with I don't know which version you played, Don. Was it did it have emulators in it, or?
Yeah, it was the original. I mean, like the very first one that you guys put out, and yeah, it did have all of the the emulator. You could do like the NES and SNES stuff. I remember all the arcades cabinets were working. I mean, it just blew my mind.
Oh, okay. I think there was an even sneakier version before that. Actually, it didn't even have any emulation in it.
Okay.
I don't think you can find it on the internet anywhere anymore. But it was. I think it started off with just it was always meant to be. I was going to build essentially rip-offs of the classic games in UE4 in the blueprint system, like combined in a single cabinet would be essentially the game, like physically being run inside the cabinet. And then one day I was just messing about and realized, I could put a Game Boy emulator in here. That's a real easy platform that has real simple emulation. I did some reading up on it, found like a good open source emulator, put it in, and then I was just like, yeah, this needs to go further. And I mean, I say it's just me. The community were asking for it, but yeah, no, it is basically it was just the community, just the people, just everyone loved what we did, and we were like, we can't not keep working on this. And then
it was a beautiful experience. I mean, I think that you spawn in that hallway, don't you? And you just wander up the hallway, and the music sort of gets louder, and you come around the corner, and everything's beautiful and neon, and the posters have been really well thought out, and everything about it. Just the fact that almost every single element of the environment is interactable with, and you can pick things up pick up tapes and plug them into your tape player, and it was a really great experience for me. I mean, I think I'm right in saying it's probably one of the first reviews I did, one of the very early ones.
I remember that one actually. Yeah, I think I have it favorited on my YouTube.
maybe DK1 or maybe DK2. I can't remember, but just stayed with me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, same here. I mean, all the interactivity is really like it was one of my first wow moments. I mean, like you said, it's the coming around the corner, the music gets louder, and and I know we have Ulrich in here. The sound is absolutely amazing in that game. I mean, every little sound that you would expect to have in the background of an arcade, and it all sounds so crisp and clear and lifelike in there. I mean, it's just fantastic job on that.
I've Ulrich to thank for that one. How many iterations did we go through, like just trying to get just the perfect ambience? I mean, it's something that's so subtle. The earlier versions was definitely a lot simpler than the system we have now with Fmod back in the day, but it still was quite hefty. I mean, we had like 15 different like ambient zones in and around the level. And you can remember this is a tiny arcade. Yeah, and then obviously we had the cabinets had original bass tracked audio and stuff like that, and it was using Unreal Engine sound engine, but it's still, we put as much effort as we could in from that point, because it was that was one thing that wasn't being done back then. Was it was all visual. It was all, what could we do in VR to look at, and we were like, nah, it needs to sound good. And that's why I was like, there's no music we can add to this ourselves that can capture that true vibe. So that's why I went down the route of figuring out how to get internet streamed radio stations going, which then led to the inclusion of music from all various sources of the internet, mostly classic retro stuff, and then that segued into the tapes. And we were like, wouldn't it be cool if you just put the tapes in and that's how you listen to it? And it's just that's basically what it was. It was just like a one thing we wanted led to another, which led to the environment being interactable in some way. And this is before motion controllers as well, so it was like still just look at it and press E and it floats in front of you. Like, I mean, compared to now, it's like it feels so primitive and pathetic, like as opposed to now I'm picking it up and I'm like physically like able to read the text and lick the side of the tape and put it back. It's good.
Lick the side of the tape. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, but it really has expanded from that original proof of concept. And now, back in the original proof of concept, though, you kind of bring up, we had the tapes, and I just brought up the posters, things like that. And I'm sure I know the answer to this already. I mean, due to the licensing and stuff. But I noticed that once Neon came out, the look and the feel of the arcade changed. The real world games were gone. The real world posters, the music, stuff like that was different. So but users can put it back by using the mod system. So what is you guys' stance on that, since it's a paid game?
It's just a bit interesting. That was something we stumbled on accidentally. I mean, like the original tech demo did come with the second download that you could put all the content in, but it always had some variation, some version of mod support enabled, and it kind of just happened naturally again from user stuff. First, it was just like a way for us to bundle the music with the game, essentially script files. That's all it was. And then we noticed that most of the people who enjoyed the game or played the game for any more than just loading it up to look at it were like changing it and customizing it. The script system was there, but there was no documentation, there was no helps, there was no even real tool at the beginning either. It was just XML files, like go and figure out what this did. And we just noticed that people were just, part of me, I sat back and I was like, why am I doing this? Like, why, I wasn't even born in the 80s. How am I going to capture what people really want? So it was just more of a, just like just make it customizable, put in what we can as a framework, as a base, and then just let people change the details that make it personal. And that became essentially the main focus. And that's basically the thing we kept with in the full paid version. It's we'll never be able to capture everybody's perfect games. Like the original tech demo, like the only bit of or the most bit I should say is of like what were my personal childhood stuff was the SNES. And so all the games there were handpicked, specifically by me, whereas a lot of the music and the actual arcades and stuff like that was all from my dad and people who actually played the games properly, and asking them like what would you see here, what would people expect to see here, and just we wanted to get everything right, so it's there's a lot of effort to build up the list, but no, it was just always about the customization basically, and we just went forward with that. Like there's nothing we could do even if we had the licenses, I don't think, to capture what everybody wants. So with this way, like just it was open it up.
You've done it's been a good job really kind of capturing what you were trying to do while at the same time removing copyright material, because I've noticed, I mean, within the game, everything remotely copyright has been removed, of course, any posters and even drink names have been changed. And I guess it's a challenge for you to at the same time retain, because really you're talking about something that triggers feelings of nostalgia, right? How can you be nostalgic about Pepe rather than Pepsi, and so
like
I understand it.
Pepe's awesome, man.
It's a false implanted memory you've put in my mind now, but no, it's still managed to somehow be a valid experience, even though unfortunately your hand is forced. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. No, as much as I would like to throw in Coke and Pepsi everywhere and stuff, I still think it. I mean, we've put a lot of effort into all the brands in the game and stuff like that. And I think it's more. I mean, I don't know. I studied psychology. I just like to think that people. It's not the brands that you remember. It's the way it makes you feel. And I think seeing it's if we just had all the cans just like stood in a pile as opposed, or just in a just in an actual, like, I don't know, storage container with the box in it, as opposed to just being like casually knocked around the environment like they are. That it's that placement and of the mess in a way that feels nostalgic and feels more natural rather than what actually says on the can. And I think you just adapt to it.
Well, and I think you guys hit the nail on the head. I mean, you know, people. I mean, obviously, it's more for the arcades and the posters and the movies now, which I found. I'll talk about that here in a minute. That's awesome. But Analog Kid 281 here in the chat has it right. He says customizing is what elevated this to an above average program and made it a classic. And the fact that you can go in there and you can add that personalization to it is fantastic.
We still want to push it further as well. I mean, we have been debating, like, we have a system for loading in the textures, so why not the ability to replace the cans? Why not the ability to replace the Game Bro color and make it look like some other? If we could change it to look like some other handheld console, that would be crazy. Or the game console on the table. What if that changed to look like something else?
Sega Game Gear. That would be that was my thing.
Yeah, I don't know what we can get away with in terms of like the actual 3D assets, but even just the ability to recolor them to look like some other branded console that I'm not going to list. Like that would.
So we got a question from Antonia here in the chat. Wants to know, do you guys plan to add more cabinet games later as DLC?
Yeah, Reckon of VR asked the same question earlier, just asking generally around what features you guys are thinking of adding.
It's a tough one. We have just a load that we want to do, and it's about picking the ones out. I mean, as for what do you mean by cabinet games? Do you mean like ones that come in it? Or?
Well, either that or like one question that's come up when I've chatted with people just on like Reddit and things is maybe different styles of cabinets. Like the sit-down cabinets. Things like that.
Oh, this is okay. These are something I get like 1 or 2 messages a week from our artist Robert. Look at this arcade cabinet that I found on the internet. Wouldn't it be cool if I made this? And I'm like, yeah, it probably would. Yes, it probably would. The problem is it comes out. I mean, we also get asked a similar question: is like, can we have full customization? As in, like, can I swap this cabinet out for a different style of one? And that would kind of have to be the thing we would need to be able to add more cabinet types. The problem is performance-wise at the minute, because we use statically baked lighting, means that it all has to be done offline, and we can't really change the cabs dynamically from that front. But we have some ideas. UE4 is getting some really nice new features to do with lighting switches and stuff. So maybe in the future we'll be able to have more. We have. I'm trying to think. We have one other that we'll probably be adding, and it's probably just going to be like another variation of what we've got now, just another style that fits for another large bunch of games. We picked the 2 that we've got right now. One's based on Pac-Man, the other one's based on you know what, I can't actually remember, but it's a very common style of cab.
Nice.
I can't remember. We picked
these
it
are
for
like
a reason.
Open source, or how does that work? Do you have to buy the licenses, or have you acquired these as like an open source thing?
No, they're just basically different enough to not trigger anything like that. I mean, it's just a for anyone who doesn't know the cabs, the actual dimensions, layout, style, everything like that. Just glancing at it, you would kind of go, oh yeah, that seems right. But they are just different enough to not breach on any of that stuff. I just mean like mostly it's all based around the screen. Is like, oh, we have this one for this kind of screen, this one like for the Pac-Man style tall screen games. Yeah, it's hard to say. We'll probably end up going with a couple more, but we don't really know how we're going to implement them. Whether that be with a new map or just probably gonna have to be a new level unless we figure a way to change it dynamically, but nothing.
Well, and speaking of kind of changing the subject here a little bit, but speaking of new maps, so just this week is the first time I've gotten a chance to play Neon versus the old, I think 4.0 was the one that I was kind of frequenting, and the map has expanded so much in Neon, and they kind of teased that a little while ago. Recently found out that through the arcade manager I could mod in movies. and you got the little theater in there, and I mean, it just you've added so many different aspects to it now. Where do you guys see any of this expanding in the future? I mean, is there any plans to add anything else?
Well, I mean, the big one everyone's been requesting for the longest time is multiplayer over the internet. One feature we hope to get in one day is something we've talked about in the past is and probably the closest we're going to get is at least the ability to see what other people are playing.
That would be fantastic.
It won't be multiplayer, but like to be able to see essentially it's going to be a video stream basically of what they're seeing on their screen, and we already have stuff synced like the button and joystick movement, so and the sounds and everything like that. So if someone's playing a cab in multiplayer, you do hear and see the correct movements they're making. It's just there's nothing on the screen.
Nothing on the screen. Right. Well, I mean, I couldn't even imagine how cool it would be to be walking around in that environment with other avatars and have my virtual quarter and slap it on the machine, yelling, "I got next! I got next!" You know. So
I have a working prototype that we tried a while ago, and it is truly something incredible. I just wish we could get it performant enough, or had the time really to get it going.
Right on. That is fantastic.
But that's probably what we're gonna the main focus of expansion will be sometime in the future.
Cool. And kind of going back to my experience of playing it this week. So obviously, just recently released. Got my Oculus Touch controllers. Totally changed the game. I mean, having that hand presence in the game versus using the Xbox controller was absolutely amazing. But one thing I was kind of wondering about is you got this wonderful hand presence in there. Any plans on bringing hand models into the game that can actually do things like, the index finger point or the thumbs up or, things of that nature? Because currently I noticed that you only have the controller models in there.
Mm-hmm. This is something we've gone back and forth within the team discussing what we want to do for this. I personally feel like it is I don't know, it's a bit weird. It's a little bit less immersive in a way to have hands. Okay. To not have hands like we do, because you obviously have hands, you want to feel them, but I think that the visual hands that we could create will never be good enough to match the quality of the rest of the environment, whether it be the animations on them or the skin texture. Like it won't match everything else, and I think it will stick out like a thumb.
I can see where you're going with that. It's just you say stick out. The one thing that I kept missing that I've gotten so used to in the Oculus titles is so like when I went into the theater and I load a tape is being able to press the play button. Having some sort of a way to actually press the buttons, or even like sitting in an arcade machine, it would be great to grab the stick with this hand and actually like press the buttons with this one. I mean, just
no, that's another feature that's also been requested quite a lot because we have the motion controllers. Why aren't we using them for that? I did try that out right in the beginning when I first got my Vive, and then it's real gimmicky. People use the lab as an example. They've got the arcade machine there with the little thing on it. Like, oh look how good it works, and it's like works for that game.
Oh yeah,
you try playing Metal Slug when you don't have when you don't have physical buttons to rest your finger on, when you don't have a physical joystick to grip onto, it becomes just unplayable. It becomes a gimmick, I find. But again, that's actually now that I think about it, it's probably a feature we may look into in the future, just because enough people request it. It is gimmicky, but it is a bit cool. I'll admit, just to be able to grab the buttons and physically hit them and stuff. But I don't think we'll go down the route of hands, unfortunately.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, it's just just spitballing off the top of my head some things that I just really liked. But
I would if we could get them looking. If we could get them right, I would definitely consider it.
Yeah, but like I said, guys, you've done so much right with this program. I mean, coming from the perspective of somebody who did grow up in that, being that you guys never actually grew up in that environment, you're freaking psychic wizards or something, because I mean it is
I
absolutely.
know some of us
spot on
did,
perfect.
just me.
Yeah. I did.
Yeah. Shots fired.
Yeah.
Shots fired. So basically, you guys have now been voted into the top 50 in the VR database, VR games voting. So anything you guys want to talk about as in related to that competition?
No, that was just a cool thing to hear. I used to be huge on ModDB back in the day. Used to spend a lot of time on the. Had a couple of mods and stuff that I worked on back in the day, mostly like Half-Life and Source Engine related stuff. So and then obviously we moved to IndieDB once I started working on actual full games and stuff. So it was real nice to now suddenly see, like, I didn't even know about VRDB until a couple of months ago, and I was like pleasantly surprised to hear that they've got a whole. I just assumed it would be a subsection of IndieDB, not its own thing. Mm-hmm. So and then hearing about the awards and stuff, I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then obviously hearing about we got voted into the top 50, I was like, it's even more awesome, and like got a reason to revisit that community and stuff again. So no, it's been good.
How long does the final voting go on for?
I think there's only a couple more days left now. Yeah. So anyone listening, you should go vote. Vote for us if you care on VRD.
We'll get my vote. Certainly get my vote.
Yeah, I've voted already, so I need the little sticker says I voted. So. Cool. But yeah, guys, seriously, if you've ever played New Retro Arcade, if you haven't played New Retro Arcade, go get the game. Get out there on VRDV, vote for these guys. They deserve it. I mean, this is an absolute piece of art in virtual reality. Now, do have a few more questions coming in last minute here from the gallery, and I think the biggest one that I'm seeing over and over again is everybody wants to know any plans to bring this over to the Oculus store.
So we would in a heartbeat. Because we have absolutely no problem with doing so. The only issue that we're still trying to settle on is how we do the multiplayer. At the moment, everything is handled through Steam servers and Steam's online subsystem, which we lose access to if we go to Oculus. So this is basically our main hurdle here. We have to try and figure out. Basically, we could just put it on right now, and the problem is then when that would force all the Oculus users to have to connect like manually via IP to their friends, which is not ideal. I want them to have just the same experience, but yeah, we just need to figure out this getting a decent server backend or a master server up, and then maybe try and figure out how we do cross-platform. And I know some studios are working on it, and I think that's the ticket, basically. Just move away from Steam's system, and then we should be all right.
Yeah, because definitely. I mean, it would be awesome to have that cross-platform play.
Mm-hmm.
So
mm-hmm. It does work. I mean, once you disable Steam VR from being so intrusive, it does work. Pretty fine on Steam, but I completely understand why you just want to have it in the comfortableness of the Oculus store and system, because it makes it easier than having to load and navigate Steam, even though they are adding a bit more support to it, which is good of Valve.
Yeah, that's needed, and I mean we're definitely looking forward to seeing the enhanced Steam VR support. Now, what about have you guys had any inklings to possibly bring it to PSVR?
We have not. It's. I mean, we've got a few contacts at Microsoft, but we've never really chatted with too many people at Sony. So it's something we might look into. I tried it out recently myself. Wasn't too impressed. But gotcha. I guess I've been spoilt by Oculus and Vive, I guess. So I'm like, the bar has been set absurdly high. But I can appreciate the importance of more accessible VR.
Yeah, it's got its place, but I mean, yeah, I gotta agree. I gotta agree. It's like once you've driven the Cadillac, it's hard to go back.
But that's just my personal stuff. But The other problems would be, I think it would just be a monumental task. I mean, I don't think we'd even be able to get any of the emulation or anything on there. I mean, I would need to look into what emulators even work on PlayStation, and would the users be even able to put stuff on there? Yeah, to customize anything. Because I mean, look at what happened to Bethesda with promising modding support on various games and then being shut down by Sony. Like, it's pretty brutal.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a brutal thing.
So I think, yeah, I think we'd have to get like proper licenses for everything. We'd have to do it, and then we'd have to port the games manually. It'd probably a bit too much of an undertaking for a small team like us, but we can dream. And I would.
I only asked because I was asked during the week when I told people you were coming on the show. So I got a question about that. It's like, hey, PSVR. I've only got PSVR, and I'm like, well, don't hold your breath, but I'll ask. So,
if anyone knows any contacts at Atari or Midway or any big studios, tell them to hit me up. We'll talk.
So Reckoner VR, frequent member of our viewing audience here, wants to know any other titles in the pipeline for digital Cybercherries.
Yeah, we teased something a while back, another project that we're working on called Hypercharge, which is it's not VR related, or Hypercharge isn't, but we're currently on something else at the moment that is similar but different, and at least has a very cool VR element. So I'm not going to go into too much detail just now because I don't know, like, when we're ready to talk fully or show anything about it. But it's similar to the past project that we may have very slyly announced, but also has more VR this time. Just because, again, we've been roped into it now with New Retro Arcade, and we all love VR too much now. So it's like, oh, okay, right, need more VR. So that's all I'm going to say for now. But it's going to be cool. It's going to be really cool.
Fantastic. Well, guys, I think we're going to go ahead and start to wrap things up and bring it home. But we definitely want to thank you guys for coming on. Deck, Ulrich, it's been a pleasure. And, everybody out there watching, anybody watching on the playback, next couple of days, get out there on VRDB, vote for these guys in the top 50 games. And if you have not played the game yet, I'm going to throw a link here into the chat, and we'll put a link on the video playback description. Head over to Steam and do yourself a favor and grab a copy of New Retro Arcade Neon as fast as you possibly can.
I'll throw something else out there as well for anyone who's feeling a bit like overwhelmed by the idea of having to get in the nitty gritty of customizing an arcade and messing about with an editor and files that you might not understand. There is a huge bunch of pre-made arcades that the community has put together, and they're incredibly easy to install, just a drag and drop.
Well, I didn't know if I could mention that, but yeah, there's actually one that
we're nothing to do with them. There is just a bunch of real cool.
Disclaimer, right? But I actually found one on Reddit and installed it. Had like 43 different, or 34 different cabinets. It had a whole bunch of emulated, old school NES games in it. Had a few movies that were already pre-selected for the theater. So, if you look, they're out there. And there's a lot of people doing the Lord's work and modding Retro Arcade to make it the arcade of their dreams. So
we're also quite fortunate as well. Like we have an incredibly good community on the Steam forums at the moment. Like for all the horror stories you hear of other games, with just the worst people of the worst all coming on there and causing a very horrible environment. We just have a great community on Steam at the moment of everybody helping each other. Plenty of help for arcades. I mean, there's guys on there producing artwork for people. Like, you've got a favorite game, you want that arcade, I'll make it for you. There's some great people on there.
Yeah, it can get brutal. It can get brutal over there on Steam. And something else I wanted to mention too, even if you're not ready to buy it, you guys did a solid, which a lot of other VR developers aren't doing. You gave us a demo. So you can actually download the demo before you spend your money. So
the demo doesn't have the same support. It's good. It doesn't. We don't have the same sort of support as Enran. Like it doesn't have Oculus support and stuff like that. And we.
Oh, I did not know that. Sorry.
No, I think it does, but not for touch controllers. Sorry.
Okay, gotcha.
Doesn't have touch controller support. It's kind of got left in the dust a little bit. The demo, just because we've just gone so far with Neon. And it's meant to be considered more of a tech demo. It's basically the old one that you guys have played in the past.
Oh, okay.
It's that with basically some fixes in it and stuff like that put together just to show what we can do more from the art side of things. And then you get Neon, and it has just all the best shit in it. So
yeah, it's definitely the best shit. I love Neon. So. All right, well, guys, thank you so much for coming on VRSpies Exposed, and
no problem. Thank you for having us.
Cannot wait to get back in your game. So.
Awesome.
All right.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Thank you very much. So, how do we wrap this up, Don? We've all got our touches, haven't we? So we're getting pretty. I was
gonna say we
that stuff.
We actually did a little touch stuff right before the show. You jumped in Virtual Warfighter together. Me, you, Game Hard, and Greg. So
great fun.
Total fun, and and that kind of. I don't know. It was good. We haven't done that in a while, and it was kind of good to kind of get back to our roots. Just the whole playing games and having fun thing.
Yeah, and it might be something that you'll see us doing more of in the future, for sure. If not on these Sunday nights, but maybe through the week as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But
it's funny. We went our separate ways a little bit, I think. You look back and you look at the history of our group and you realize, in fact, the room scale versus not room scale, we were talking about this earlier, it kind of caused a little bit of a rift in the group, as it were.
A little rift?
A poor expression. But yeah, it's but now we're all sort of back together again. We've all got room scale, we've all got the same content and access to the same software. So
I think the touch controllers coming out really was kind of unifying for the whole Steam and Oculus. I mean, being able to do that cross play and stuff like that. But that kind of brings us up to something we talked about earlier, and we just want to let everybody know doing the podcast in this format has been great. It's been an awesome experience, but we are gonna go back to doing just some good friends hanging out, talking VR and our passions about it while we game. So this will be the last VRSpies Exposed podcast today, and we obviously want to thank each and every one of you guys for all the support that you've given us over the 38 episodes that we've done. Not saying that we won't show up in this kind of format every once in a while, something big breaks, but we had a good time today, and it's really been weighing on my heart that I miss playing games with these guys. I miss the just camaraderie that we have. So it's been fun, but now we're gonna have fun in a different way.
Yeah, for sure. Antonia, boo.
No, I know. I'm sorry. I know it's not gonna make everybody happy, but we started.
It's a format change. It's not anything. I mean, I think you'll find there'll be more of us on, and we'll probably be doing much more stuff more frequently. We're just trying to figure out a method of us streaming to multiple channels. So trust me, you'll be sick of the sight of us still.
Oh God, you'll see
going anywhere
more of us than you do every other Sunday. Yeah. It's not even funny. And
I'm also still a thing.
Yeah, VRSpies is going nowhere. We're just changing directions. I know we've kind of waffled on this in the past, and it's like we did the podcast, and then we did the gaming, and then we did the podcast again. But we really want to get back to what really brought us all together as friends and cohorts in all of this, and where all this started from. And we really want to bring it back to just having fun and loving VR and hanging out together and hanging out with you guys. So just throwing it out there.
Yeah, it's a difficult message, but it's it shouldn't feel like it. I don't know why it feels bad, Don. I mean, we were talking earlier. It's like you kind of feel like we've done 38 episodes of this in this format, and you think, oh, that's a lot, and most of the people watching this have been watching us from the beginning, which again, it's another reason we kept doing it. And let's be honest, on the last probably 5 or 6 episodes, really we've been doing it because we felt we needed to for the community. Just keep doing it, right? And really, it becomes less fun if you're having to force yourself to do something. And that's the conclusion we came to. You know, we want to stay fun and we want to stay authentic and you know.
Well, we're yeah. And Peter here says that's a good decision. We'll love the new format. So thank you, Peter. And Gaspar, friends, VR, and beer. That's what we're talking about right there. Friends, VR, and beer, like the old days. Kicking it back old school.
Don, you know, the perfect thing I was looking at on the Oculus store earlier is that VR fishing thing.
Yeah. VR fishing.
We can all just sit on a boat and drink beer and catch fish. There you go.
Oh my God, that would be so epic. That's like an hour right there on cam. Just like drinking beer. That's it. We're gonna do some VR fishing. But guys, I think we're gonna go ahead and cap it here. But thank you very much for everything that you do.
Cybercherries for joining us. Deck, thank you very much for joining us as well.
Yeah. Thanks.
Cheers, guys.
Absolutely.
Rob, Christopher. Take care, guys.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
So we will see you guys very, very soon. Peace.